committed federal crimes, and then they did that on purpose to continue their recruiting in the federal system. The most popular was bank robbery.
Inmates carry the brand to hardcore pens like Leavenworth in Kansas and the nation's highest security federal penitentiary in Marion, Illinois. A bank robber by the name of John Greshner was sent there in 1976. Born in Minnesota, he has spent most of his life in juvenile halls and prisons, including a 20-year sentence for armed robbery.
I'm an outlaw, man. I'm involved in criminal activity. That's what I do. My forte is armed takeover robberies. I mean, that's my bread and butter. But I do a lot of things. I sell dope, I run guns, I do whatever. Wherever there's money, that's what I would do.
Soon, Greshner is introduced to brand members streaming into the system. He is wooed by Barry the Baron Mills, a commissioner and one of the highest-ranking members with the federal section of the AP. The commission is a new development for the Brotherhood, which had once been run as a collective.
It was cumbersome. Everyone had an equal vote, and soon members of the Aryan Brotherhood leadership realized that they had to streamline this.
The brand develops a hierarchy. Barry Mills and T.D. Bingham will command the newly formed federal faction of the brand. A four-man commission, including Michael Thompson, heads the California state leadership. At Marion, Mills begins schooling Greshner in the ways of the brand, beginning with a simple rule.
The Aryan Brotherhood comes first, above all things, above even your own life, above your family, your loved ones, country, God, anything. The Aryan Brotherhood comes first.
Greshner is introduced to other gang members while at Marion, one of whom is terrible Tommy Silverstein. Silverstein will soon show just how powerful the Aryan Brotherhood has become. They can do what once seemed impossible: kill a corrections officer in prison despite being handcuffed.
Tommy was having a beef with the CO Klutz, Merle Klutz. They just got into this personal trip. And I knew Klutz for like 9-10 years before. I used to work for him on the Unicourt here. Klutz was okay. Well, him and Tommy got into this personal thing. Tommy started talking about killing him.
A talented artist, Silverstein is upset that Officer Klutz had taken away his drawing pencils. He begins plotting his revenge. On October 22nd, 1983, Silverstein is led from his daily shower to his cell by Klutz and two other guards. As they walk, Silverstein leans against a cell, and another inmate uses a homemade key to unlock his cuffs. In seconds, Silverstein's hands are free. He pulls a 10-inch blade from the waistband of his accomplice and turns on Officer Klutz.
Tommy stepped out, boom, 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 hit Klutz like 37, 38 times, killed him.
A few hours later, in another part of the prison, AB member Clayton Fountain pulls the same move, stabbing 3 guards, killing 1.
And his answer to why he did that was, I didn't want Silverstein to have a bigger body count than me.
It was the first time in the history of the federal prison system that 2 guards had been killed on the same day. And it happened in the most secure prison in the U.S. The message was clear: no one can stop the brand.
They are going to continue to kill, even from their isolated cells within the prison system. There's no safe place.
For some inmates, the battles that erupt in the yard are a means of revenge, an expression of brute force. For the men in the Aryan Brotherhood, or AB, this violence was part of something bigger. And in the 1980s, they began to see themselves as more than just racist thugs. They envisioned building a criminal enterprise that would conduct white-collar crimes like ID theft and extortion. Still, in 1983, there were only about 100 AB members in the California prison system, out of around 35,000 inmates. They controlled prisons in part through intensive training. The Brotherhood immersed its new recruits in the way of the brand, supplying reading lists, prepping them for battle, and instilling in them a warrior mentality.
They read Nietzsche, Sun Tzu, Art of War, The Prince, Machiavelli. These guys read these things. They're intelligent people.
You had to be, if not smarter than everybody else, you damn sure had to seem smarter than everybody else.
Bob Overton first heard of the Aryan Brotherhood while he was in prison in Oklahoma, serving a life sentence for murder.
I would see these guys and I'd say, yeah, well, you know, they're smart, they're personable, they're in top shape, good physical condition, they're strong, command respect. Well, you want to be like that.
The brand was impressed with Overton's military background.
It's like a courtship you're seduced in, you know. And I mean, the brother that first met me actually wrote me poems, battle poems, you know, about you, about your life. They listen to what you've done, where you've been, and writing these things. And, you know, they're helping you, they're educating you.
As a brother, he was groomed to be a more efficient killer.
We studied Gray's Anatomy, anything, you know, so you would know exactly where and how to kill someone when you needed to.
But this schooling wasn't for every white inmate. Only a few were considered worthy to wear the shamrock tattoo.
I could get 20 guys that been in the fire, been on those battlefields, and you could get 1,000 guys that are just scrap, just dudes talking the talk but not really walking the walk, and them 20 guys will just decimate them.
In the 80s, though, as the brand's power increased, this warrior culture was threatened. A rift developed within the Brotherhood. The trouble began when the brand began to enforce its rules with hits not just on inmates, but on those outside prison walls. 1983, Southern California. The AB is seeking payback against an inmate named Steve Barnes. He snitched on a fellow brand member and agreed to testify against him. They can't get to him, so they have Barnes' father killed instead.
That sent a message that, you know, if you don't toe the line for us, if we can't get you, we'll get your family.
Their policy prior to this had been, it was okay to kill another convict. It's not okay to kill somebody's children or parents. So a split occurred.
Richard Valdemar, working with the LA County Sheriff's Department, hears of this split and sees an opportunity. Over the next 10 years, Valdemar and other law enforcement officials approached several brand members. Some of them agreed to talk.
They would have came after my mother, my grandmother, those people that I cared about. And so here I am.
In these once confidential videotapes, the men say that the AB are not just going after enemies, they're going after too many of their own.
They'll kill me whenever they get a chance.
The leader who is most upset with the shift in philosophy is Brand Commissioner Michael Thompson.
It may sound a little bizarre to say that, you know, there are values and ethics associated with even a criminal enterprise.
Thompson is still troubled by the decision to murder Steve Barnes' father, a civilian.
When that first came up, it was, let's kill his child, let's kill his wife, let's kill his mother and his father. So, whoa, 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 do you hear yourselves? This is what being a warrior is about to you? So I said, I'm gonna step away.
Michael Thompson has made a decision that puts his life at risk. He begins cooperating with Valdemar. When he does, Thompson is breaking the brand's #1 rule, turning against his brethren. There's no going back. As seen in these tapes, Thompson spills the secrets of the Brotherhood's inner workings.
You had either just the Shamrock, just the AD, and oftentimes you'll see all this, or part of it, camouflaged into other tattoos.
Okay,
Say if you have a collage on your arm,
correct.
if you look, sometimes you'll see 3 6s collaged in. And those are the type of things you want to look for.
Then I would lecture about how to beat the metal detector, about the philosophy and psychology associated with gangs in general, about how to make a weapon, about manipulation of staff, things like that.
During the debriefings, Thompson makes a startling admission. The Brotherhood's focus was changing from being a gang that ruled through terror to using terror to make money.
We saw the Hells Angels doing it. We saw them making money. We saw the Mexican Mafia do it and making money. Why shouldn't the Aryan Brotherhood?
And despite this rift, the brand did make money. The gang was expanding into new kinds of crime, including armed robbery and prostitution, all from inside prison.
We started approaching it from the idea of a business, and that had value, and I understood that. So we began to restructure the organization.
By the early 90s, the brand was running drug trafficking rings inside the country's most notorious prisons. It was reported that at Leavenworth in Kansas, over 1,200 inmates tested positive for heroin in 1995. At Pelican Bay State Prison in California, AB member Bob Overton was in charge of dealing drugs on one of the yards.
If anybody on the yard was bringing any drugs on the yard, we were to get our cut from the business. It entailed keeping race relations with the other races. You know, if there was a problem between the whites and the blacks or the whites and the Mexicans, whoever the problem was, you would mediate.
But no gang, even the AB, can keep peace on the yard all the time. Pelican Bay State Prison in Crescent City. Violence explodes between rival black and Hispanic gang members in 2000. Guards set off tear gas and fire rubber bullets in hopes of bringing order. But the 200-man riot erupts for nearly 30 minutes. Dozens of inmates are injured, and one is killed, mortally wounded by a prison guard's gunshot. Afterward, officers collect more than 50 inmate-made weapons from the scene. It was one of the most violent riots ever to erupt at Pelican Bay. For the Aryan Brotherhood, this kind of disorder only disrupted business.
We weren't looking to have wars out there because that would take the program from us. It would slow any business down that was coming in.
Getting drugs into a maximum security prison is no small task, so the Brotherhood used every possible means at its disposal.
Oh, drugs come in a lot of ways. Drugs come in through visiting rooms. Drugs come in through cops. And it's lucrative. It's a lucrative market.
Often, the Brotherhood relied on third parties who weren't known gang members so they could receive drugs more easily.
What I do is I use cutouts. And what happens is packages are sent to their visitors, they bring it in, give it to somebody else, they get it to me, they get their cut. And then I don't even deal it either. I mean, I don't get involved in distributing, sales, or anything. I get it to somebody else, they chop it up, paper up, all that. They get so much. For every so many they sell, they get so much of the proceeds and all that, and everybody else handles it.
Narcotics help fund the criminal enterprise, as did their protection racket. And the brand would watch over one of America's most notorious crime bosses. Little did he know that he was being set up for a high-priced shakedown. Corcoran State Prison in California's Central Valley, 170 miles north of Los Angeles. Once infiltrated by the Aryan Brotherhood, Corcoran is still home to several white gangs. This is the mess hall. Inmates get 2 hot meals a day and a bagged lunch. Officers pat down the inmates as they leave the mess hall, checking for weapons, contraband, and fruit, which can be used to make pruno.
You know, sometimes we looking for weapons, drugs, inmate manufactured alcohol.
Today, members of the Investigative Services Unit, or ISU, are searching the cell of an inmate.
131.
They first remove the man and temporarily place him in the shower cell.